0, and liftoff.
Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Mission Control. This is your host, Ramon Peralta with Peralta Design, and we launch brands. We've got a great episode on deck for you today. Please join me in welcoming Miss Gwen Brantley, founder of Access Educational Services.
Thank you. Thank you, Ramon, for having me today. I'm so excited to be here. I finally made it.
I know, finally, but this has been years in the making.
Yes, it has been.
But everything has its time.
Yes, perfect timing this morning. I woke up feeling great, and I said, today's my day.
Yes, got the green Access glasses on.
Yes.
And the water bottle.
Yes.
You got all the branding.
Yes, the green stands for growing, new beginnings. So.
Yes. So we're going to get all into Access and everything it does. But let's talk a little bit about taking the leap because, you know, you're coming up on 20 years, which is amazing.
Yes.
You know, amazing accomplishment.
Thank you.
The fans love it.
Thank you.
They know how hard that is, the longevity.
Yes.
But in the early stages, you were moonlighting, right? You had a job, and then you were starting to build this nonprofit, which can be like starting a business, right? And in a way, you got to go through all those formalities.
Yes.
What was it like, and what were some of the challenges when you first started? Before you took the leap, and then we'll talk about taking the leap.
Before I took the leap. So Access was my moonlighting job, you know.
Yeah.
That was my moonlighting job, but my
side hustle.
My side hustle. It was difficult. I was torn because I was, working. I was single mom and putting my son through college. And I was trying to make a decision, whether to, stop working. My background is in human resources, was recruiting in the medical field as well as technology field. So it was a tough decision. But although I was putting my son through college, it got to a point where I was like, he's gonna be okay. And I started thinking about myself and what I wanted to do. And I started thinking about my happiness and whether or not I was going to try to keep climbing this corporate ladder. And I really wasn't getting anywhere.
Yeah, but I've been there.
Yeah.
I know what that's like.
Also, I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And
EST, shout out.
Yes, I had a sit down with my line sisters, and I'm like, I need to make a decision.
And what number were you, by the way?
Number 6.
Okay. Out of how many? Was it a long line?
9 of us.
Okay.
Yeah. Spring 88. Shout out to Mosaic.
Yeah. Spring 88. I'm Spring 89. So
yes.
We were in the boots.
We were boots on the ground. Boots on the ground.
So did you so I was 1, so I couldn't hide. So you're 6. You're kind of like sandwiched in there, but did you stand out?
Yes, I did. I did stand out.
Okay.
We were a citywide chapter. Mm-hmm. So for folks that know, we're not, citywide anymore, but we were I went to Southern Connecticut State University in New Haven, Connecticut. And so I was the only person from my campus that pledged that year. And my line sisters were at Yale, Wesleyan, and UNH. So I was the only person on my campus at that time.
Okay.
But, I mean, it was a great experience.
Yeah, of course. I love it. We'll do a different podcast just on the pledging process and that. But definitely a place to learn fortitude and never giving up and all these characteristics.
Absolutely.
Right? They come in handy when you're starting a business.
Absolutely. The support system was wonderful. One of my line sisters, Dr. Judith Absalon, was actually one of my founding board members.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So when you're starting a nonprofit and you're working corporate, so take us back. You're working corporate. What was the spark that led you to say, I want to do this on the side?
So again, just trying to climb up the corporate ladder, and I worked in human resources, and I don't know if I was laid off at the time. I can't remember. I know some layoffs, were part of
some instability.
Some instability was there, and I well, we might talk about this later, but being in human resources and seeing, some of the disparities is what led me to launch out, right? Because I was in a situation like recruiting, and I saw disparities. I was like, you know what? I need to step back and go into my community and start training and exposing young people to the very careers that I'm trying to put them in to get them ready and to get them prepared. So it was like a combination of things, right? It's like, I didn't feel like, doing that corporate rat race anymore. I had already, my son was on a path, to greatness, and like the instability of work. So I just, and with the help of some trusted friends. Again,
so what was a typical day like? So you went to work, and then after work you worked on your nonprofit?
Yes. So I went to work, and like during lunch breaks or, things like that, I would work on my nonprofit. I didn't know what I was doing. Let's just say that I really didn't know what I was doing. I attended a conference, the National Society of Black Engineers. I attended their conference, so that was also a big part of
the
me.
Influence.
It was a big influence. And then there was a gentleman named Dennis Blair. He's passed on, but he came to me. He was not from Bridgeport, and he said, "What you're doing." This was 20 years ago. He said, "What you're doing is huge. It's going to be huge, especially in underserved communities." He said, "My two sisters are engineers, and they're part of NSBE." And he says, "I know what it can do, how it can change, the lives of young people." Also, former state senator Marilyn Moore, she was also a big influencer at the time. She was the president of Bridgeport Black Pride.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know what I was doing. I just know, the combination of being in human resources, being in corporate, trying to figure out stuff, for my son, and, seeing a need in the community. I was like, let me try to figure this out,
You were up for the challenge.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I didn't know it was going to be a challenge. I thought it was going to be easy.
Yeah.
I thought because I had this idea that everybody, was going to be willing to help me, Somebody quickly told me, "This is your baby, not mine."
Yeah.
So, but back to your, that aha moment, right? It was just, it takes a lot of time. So you're working, right? And, but you see that there's something, I don't want to say like a calling, right? But you see that there's something greater, or where you can make a difference, right? And so, but you don't have time. You can't work and do these things because you have to dedicate more time to birthing this baby, right? I had to dedicate more time to it. Again, my inaugural board, they were the ones that kept on saying, "You can't continue to work full time and try to build an organization. You have to take a salary from this." And I was like, "What? I can't take a salary. I'm just doing this,
Yeah.
So, with the support of all those things, I think it was, although we're 20 years old, I probably stopped working, left my full-time job, around 2017. So it hasn't been that long.
Right.
So.
But it must have been scary and
Definitely
a lot of
scary.
faith, a lot of faith.
Yeah.
Involved.
Yeah.
Prayer.
Yes. Yes. And you know, when you're a nonprofit and you're writing grants and applying you know, for these grants, you have to be able to do the work that you said you're going to do to the people who are entrusting you with their money, right? So I'm like,
you're accountable now to the donors.
Exactly. So I'm like, I can't drop the ball on this, you know? I can't drop the ball on this, and I need to be like laser focused on not just managing this money and this baby, you know, but also now thinking about the future and how I'm going to sustain it, right? Because, you know, 2017, it's like, oh, okay, I got these grants, I can do this, but, you know, funders don't stay forever.
Right.
You know, somebody that funds you one year, they may not fund you the next year, you know, so you got to build your pipeline, just like, right, you do in your business, right? You got to, you know, keep your stakeholders happy, your board members happy, the kids that are in your program happy, the parents happy. There's a lot of moving pieces. There's a lot, you know.
And it requires your attention full time. So
full-time attention. So yeah, I just did it, Ramon. And, you know, looking at you and starting your business, you know, so I had a lot of role models.
Well, iron sharpens iron. And when we come back, we're going to hear all about your story and why this is so important to you.
Okay. Looking forward to it.
Excellent.
All right.
Wondering what to do with your old smartphones or outdated computer equipment? Do you know what hackers can do with your sensitive personal data that you are leaving behind on these hard drives? The team at National E-Waste Services understands the importance of protecting sensitive information and the environment. Their services also include the safe and discreet disposal of battery banks, cables, phones, and more. For more information, visit nationalewasteservices.com.
Mission Control.
And we're back. Please help me once again welcome Miss Gwen Brantley, founder of Access Educational Services.
Yes, we're back. Thank you.
Fans, they're going crazy.
I love it.
Yeah, they've been here. They've been waiting for like a long time for you to be here. We kept telling them she's coming, and you're here.
Finally made it.
Yes. So, Gwen, you are the founder of Access Educational Services. Its mission is to expose underserved and underrepresented students to meaningful STEM education through hands-on and project-based activities that provide early exposure to careers and build student confidence in their science, technology, engineering, math, literacy, and communication skills. Wow.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Yes. I mean,
wow.
Yeah. I mean, when you listen to it that way, you're like, wow, what's the poster? I know I'm somebody because God don't make no junk. Remember that poster? I used to see that at the health clinic growing up. But yeah, you're doing God's work, but we want to kind of dive deeper. Share with our listeners your journey and how you got here.
Sure. Would love to. So, born and raised in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and attended public schools. I really enjoyed math and science. I really did. And I can remember high school was probably my first encounter of not being supported math and science. And I'm just going to take a step back to say that I was also raised by my grandmother, the late, great Annie Rose Brantley. And I lost my mother when I was 12 years old. So I was raised by her and my aunts. And of course, my grandmother came from Mississippi, migrated. She and my grandfather and a bunch of other folks, they came here for the factory jobs, right? And she had lived through Jim Crow, civil rights, right? They escaped. Basically, they left the South to, better for the North. And she would educate, she stressed that education was important. My mother did too. Like, I can remember my mother being like a avid reader, So my grandmother was really, again, stressed education, made sure that I was involved in activities. Early on, I can remember being like in the Girl Scouts, and I was what's called a Novi, which is a junior version of the Eastern Stars.
Okay, the Masonic.
Yes, yeah. And maybe that's why I got interested in the sorority thing.
Right. A lot of parallels.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot, right? But most importantly, she allowed me to go to Upward Bound, where I went to class on Saturdays and spent summers on the campus of Fairfield University. So that was life-changing for me.
Right. The exposure.
The exposure was great. So, but still in high school, I feel like I was shafted in math. I won't mention any names, but the math, well, maybe people will know. The math teacher was the football coach, and all he cared about was football. Yeah. And I was trying to learn math. So I just feel like, as a young Black girl, I had a great science teacher, Miss Bunch. And I wanted to like excel in math, but I just did not have like the foundation. So fast forward, I went to Southern, and I, this is like the first time I've told this story.
Exclusive.
Yeah. So I was at Southern and I could not pass my math class. Like, I had left Southern and had to go back and like 3 credits short. At that time, you had to take gym too. So I was 4 credits short. Gym.
They
math.
charge you for 1 credit for that too.
So anyway, got through, started working, I became a mother shortly after, I got out of school, and I kept on saying, I want to make sure that my son takes all the math classes, all the science classes, he didn't like it back then, but now he realizes, so that my son, Justin, he's always been the driver for me. Like, always wanted to expose him to things. Again, my grandmother had exposed me to things. But I knew that there was more to be exposed to. So I'm at Southern. I'm, again, the sorority. I'm, making friends. I'm a first generation college student. I'm with other first generation college students as well, but I'm also with students who came from generations of folks who had been to college, right? So they were exposed to these things, and they were talking about stuff. I don't know if they were teaching me, whatever, but they were talking, and I'm like listening. I'm like, why don't I do that? Why, so all these kind of different influences. So, as I said earlier, I started working in the workforce, again, raising my son, getting him in all these things, working in HR, and, I saw this need, and
was it because you didn't see enough candidates that look like us coming up, and then you said maybe it has to do with...
It was not seeing enough candidates, but it was also candidates being turned away,
right?
And I did not have the I'm not going to say the authority. It was like, you were
powerless in a way.
I was powerless, right? I could not make changes there, because it was systematic, right?
And you also feeling like at this age it's too late. If you're in the job force and you didn't have these experiences, maybe if you go back, I'm trying to think like where the nucleus was for like working with youth is probably exposing them earlier is going to
exposing them earlier, right? So, and again, I just kept thinking about like my son, younger people in my young people in my community. But again, being going to college and being exposed to different parts of the world and seeing how other people are living.
Right. And Upward Bound, like I can't say enough about it as a program.
Right.
You feel like you're like the select chosen group.
Right. and it's also
and then there's
like,
all these other kids that didn't get into Upward Bound.
Right. Exactly. And that's how I kind of felt. I was like, and I would go, working, and I'm going to Greenwich and all these places and seeing these
the homes,
all
and the
of this
lawns,
stuff. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah. It's another world.
Why are we living like this? So I'm like, well, what can I do to make sure that not just my son, because it's just like was not about him, but it was like the community. How do I get this information to the community? Like, you can be an engineer, or and it wasn't not all about being an engineer. That's not what we don't expect all of our students to be engineers, but it's the skills that they gain, like math, having those critical thinking skills, right? The math and the science skills, that lends itself to being successful in any career that you want to. So.
But you're like an OG in this STEM game. Like you're the authority. 20 years ago, were people talking about STEM?
People were not talking about STEM 20 years ago at all. Well, I would say they weren't talking about it a lot in this community. Right? They weren't talking about a lot. So I do feel like, I brought it to the forefront of the community. We started the National Society of Black Engineers, NSBE Jr chapter. That's how it all started, right? Because I went to this conference. I was like, oh my God. So in addition to all the other stuff, I was like, oh my God, this NSBE thing is great. I was actually working. I went to the NSBE conference, first conference I went to in Boston in 2005. It was so good. I'm there. I was like, I called my family. I was like, bring my son up here. Bring Asia up here.
They got to see this.
Y'all come up here. You got to see this. You got to see this.
Yeah.
So my whole family came up there. We stayed in the hotel room. There were all these.
Because there is something there. It's like when you're from the hood and you like computers, you feel like you're the only nerd. But then when you go to this, you realize there's more people like me that like math and like science.
And I started talking about it. Again, I was like revenge with the nerds. I'm like, I didn't get this science and math, but you know what? My son's gonna get it. And everybody else who's attached to us.
Everybody after me is gonna get it.
Everybody after me is gonna get it. So it's, but it's been difficult, right? Because again, although I saw the need, I didn't have the background, right? I'm not an engineer. I'm not a scientist, right? But again, I saw the need and how having those skills. So that's why we're called Achieving College and Career Exceptional Skills for Success. That's what ACCESS stands for.
Wow.
Right?
Can you say that again? Achieving
College and Career Exceptional Skills for Success.
So I love it. And access. You're giving access to all of this, to the underserved. To the underserved, yes. And so, went to that NSBE conference, and, I told as many people as I could about NSBE. And I'm like, we should start a chapter. And let me step back another minute. I never did really want to do this myself. I wanted someone else to do this, right? Because I kept on like...
You saw that the need was there.
I saw the need was there.
You saw the mission at hand.
Yeah.
But you weren't ready to carry that standard
I
forward.
was not at all. I did not want to do this.
You weren't going to spearhead it.
I was not going to spearhead it. I tried to get, as a matter of fact, she might not remember this, and I'll send her this so she can listen to it. But Teresa Wilson, she was already doing her program, Village
VIP,
Initiative Project.
VIP. Shout out to Sam Wilson and Teresa.
Yeah. So, and they're like family to me. Her and the late Councilwoman Mary Yvette Brantley, her best friends. And she, Yvette, my Aunt Yvette, she was like my number one supporter in all of this, But, Teresa, and Sam too. Cause now I'm thinking, now you got all these memories coming up. They actually were the first two people that attended like a NSBE event. The second one we went to. But yeah, they were early supporters. But yeah, I think I was trying to push this off on Teresa.
She's like, I got my own thing going.
Yeah, I think I was trying to push it off on her.
Because she was doing bus tours to Howard and things like that.
She's still doing it.
Yeah.
She's still doing it. Still doing it. So she's
and
she's
Sam's
changed.
been our CPA here.
Yeah,
at PD
she's changed many of lives. Yeah.
Good people.
So yeah, that's how we started. We chartered the first National Society of Black Engineers NSBE Jr chapter. It was called Bridgeport Black Pride, because at the time, again, I was not trying to do this, right? Past State Senator Marilyn Moore, she was the president of Bridgeport Black Pride, and I went to her. I told her, again, I was telling everybody about this thing, right? And so she says, well, Bridgeport Black Pride, we don't have any youth initiative right now. She said, why don't you bring it in and start it under that? So that's how it was like Martin Luther King breakfast at Mount Airy. We launched it there.
Oh, wow.
We launched it
Shout
to the
out
community.
To Pastor Bennett.
Yeah, we launched it there. And we've had many different homes, in terms of where our students, met. Back to the late Dennis Blell. He was an excellent grant writer, I has mentioned earlier. He was not from the community, but he shared with me that he was very familiar with NSBE, and he says, and I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you write these grants. You need to start. So I was under Bridgeport Black Pride, but he's like, you need to start your own 501c3, and I'm going to help you. And I was like, okay, so we, going through the motions and stuff like that.
But none of us do it alone. These are all people that helped you along the way.
Right. So, again, people just came along and helped out. And so, here we are, right? And 20 years later.
And I know you've done work with NASCAR, right? The kids did robotics.
Yes.
Where that was affiliated somehow with some big
so
brands.
it's not called, so our programming, when you are in our description, hands-on, we use national-based curriculum, and what you're referring to NASCAR it's called 1080. But when we started it, it was endorsed by NASCAR. And so it's like so when you talk about how do we teach our skills, we do it through various curriculums. And so the learning is built in the curriculum, right? Again, I'm not an engineer, so I rely on, I hire teachers, I have, volunteers who work in the industry. And at one time we had, a lot of the NSBE professionals would help out. They've since moved, they were young people that were living here, but they've moved away. But so NASCAR, now called 1080, was set up just like NASCAR. And the reason, and this is just an example of one, but all of them sort of work like this. All of the curriculums that we use. At the time, they said, hey, there's no representation in NASCAR. How do we start exposing students to careers in NASCAR? So these kids have these it's like a whole organization. They're a race car organization. We still do that program. They're a race car organization where you have your drivers, you have, kids driving a little car, right? You have someone who does marketing. Because I think one time you probably helped out or did did a design. So you have your marketing, your content creators, data, right? There's all these skills are built into the different curriculums we use. And it's like a huge racetrack.
And then you compete. Right?
And we compete.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, there's the driver's pit, and I mean, it's just it's so much fun. So yes, so we work with our students. You know, we start like the end of the summer, and so 1080 FIRST Robotics is really big for us right now. We're part of New England FIRST Robotics, and we do that K through 12. Right. So we work with our students. There's a theme. Everything has a theme. There's always a problem to solve. There's always a real world problem to solve that the students work on all year. Right. And then they present, you know, they're doing the research. Right. So that's where your literacy comes in. So all the things you talked about is built into the curriculums that we use. So, yes, they compete against students from like locally, regionally, right, and nationally, right? So we travel a lot. We've traveled to many NSBE conferences across the United States, right? We travel for FIRST Robotics, and so the competition is great because it creates that camaraderie, right, for the students. Most of our programs are community based. So we have students coming from public schools, private schools, charter schools, homeschool. I love to see the friendships that are formed amongst the students, right? From different parts of the city and, you know, the surrounding cities. I mean, these kids become best friends, you know? So, so yeah, that's, you know, we use, you know, many different curriculums to, and most recently, you know, eSports. We've added eSports in the last 5 years, which is gaming, right?
You can do that in college now. The kids are getting scholarships for this.
Exactly. So we opened up that door to Bridgeport, right?
Yeah.
Folks, now you have several organizations doing eSports. We brought that here, you know? So with eSports, though, for us, it's not about the gaming, though. It's about the billion-dollar industry and those jobs that are within gaming, right? Like students didn't know that they could go work at Microsoft and Apple. These are the people, content creators,
right?
You know, they're hiring. You know, what you're sitting at home all day doing, you could be getting paid, right? Right. So the gaming, was a way to get them through the door, right? So,
and I love that that's your approach in all the things that you do. You're teaching by doing, and you're lighting a fire that a lot of these kids may not have never known was lying within them.
Yes.
Like getting to actually do it.
Right.
You know, now there's this interest. I'm not really into math. I'm not really, wait, this is math? This is science?
Right.
And how you can apply it and in real time. Such a life-changing experience. And
yes.
I love that.
Yes.
All of your programs are set up like that. And
yes.
I didn't know about the race car one, so
look
into that one a little bit more.
Are you into race cars?
Oh, but F1 is like my.
We have to have a conversation then. We have to have a
Yes.
conversation because we're looking for someone to help us. Yeah, we're looking
Here's
for
your
someone.
guy.
Oh my goodness, this is my lucky day. I'm so excited. Listen, and so we have all of the materials. You know what I mean. We use. What's nice about it too is like we have been doing this for so long. So we have all the materials and the kits, and every now and then we gotta add to it, build on it, right? And so,
and what's the age group of kids that you can service?
We service K through 12. Now our K through 3, we really do that within the school. So that's another thing. That we're partnered with some of the schools. So not only do we have our own after school Saturday programs, we also go into some of the Bridgeport public schools and do programming with their students. So this year we're poised to do K through 3. Actually K through 12 this year. Every year we don't do K through 12, right? But this year we are poised to do work with kindergartners this year.
Littles.
The littles. And that's what I call them too, the littles. I call them the littles, yeah. So it's all hands-on.
Yeah.
I had a teacher yesterday call me and say, how am I supposed to do STEM with a kindergartner? So I, gave him some tips.
Yeah.
So.
Tell us about the anniversary celebration.
Oh, wow. So yes. So I had talked about, I don't know if grant writing, right? So a lot of the work I do, grant writing, because I have to sustain. And so years ago, probably before COVID, we did a fundraiser. Our fundraiser is called An Evening for the Stars, which the stars are our students, right? So we hadn't held it in a few years. And so coming up on our 20th anniversary, I'm like, I really want to celebrate our past, our present, and our future. And, my hope was to bring back some of our alumni, as well as honor a few community organizations who have helped us on this journey. So our event is Saturday, October 4th at the Knowlton in Bridgeport. I didn't want it to be like a gala. I'm more calling it a celebration. We're going to have I want it to be fun and upbeat. And we're going to have some of our alumni students come back and speak. We're going to do a nice presentation. Again, we're going to acknowledge some of our partners. And we're going to have some hands-on things, some virtual reality and things like that. We're going to have some good food, some good drinks. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Nice.
So I'm hoping that people will come out and support us on this 20th anniversary.
How can they find out more? Where can they?
So they can visit our
information?
website, which is Access for Kids, ACCESS, the number 4, KIDZ, like zebra.org. That's our website. Or you can call me at 203-526-8086. And our Instagram is at Access for Kids. Remember, number 4 and KIDZ with a Z, not a S.
Awesome. And what about if people want to sign up their kids or we have donors
yes,
that might want to donate to help?
All of that.
Yeah.
We're currently our program. We're currently registration is currently open for our programs. You can find that on our website. Again, accessforkids.org. So you can. Our registration link is right there on our website. We're doing Saturday robotics, after school robotics, eSports. So yeah, all the things. And 1080, the race car, we're bringing that back in.
We have a new program director.
We have a new program director. So excited about this. And our theme. So again, everything is a theme, and this year's theme. We're going to be integrating environmental justice into robotics.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Gwen, for everything you're doing for our
Thank
youth.
you for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, you did a great job.
You're a good friend, and I've watched you, and you've always been supportive of me. So I'm just I was so happy to finally get here.
Yes, you did a great job, and just thank you for doing God's work out there, helping our youth and giving them access and opening their minds to what's possible.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right, everybody, thank you for listening to this episode of Mission Control. Until next time, this is your host, Ramon Peralta with Peralta Design, and we launch brands.